What's good? It's your boy CJ Goodfellow. We back with the Boston Clinic. Y'all know what it is. One time for the one time. Shout out to that LDBC and YTBC. We working. Another peer-to-peer video, face-to-face video. Gonna do more of these, but I read an article that Gennady Golovkin, K2, Triple G, Team Triple G, all those, whatever you want to call them. They're in Dallas scouting the area for a rematch for Canelo Alvarez. So clearly, it seems like their stance, in negotiations is going to be to remove, the rematch away from Las Vegas. And we remember what Lara and a lot of other fighters said, that it's tough to beat Canelo Alvarez in Las Vegas. You heard Lara talk about it. Floyd got a split decision when he seamlessly dominated Canelo Alvarez over 12 rounds and still ended up with a split decision. I think that was Adelaide Bird that, scored it, a draw, whatever it was. She scored it for Canelo Alvarez, which was crazy. As she's been in the news, more lately after taking some time off after the Triple G and Canelo score fiasco. Now she's coming back on the Mayweather Promotions card this weekend, I believe. The Nevada State Athletic Commission, backed her, so it is what it is. But back to the topic of discussion. Team Triple G know the history about Mexicans fighting in Texas? Juan Baby Diaz, the Baby Bull, you got a robbery versus Paulo Malignaggi. I think that's most memorable for most boxing fans with a nice little history. With Paulie's rant was one of the most epic rants. He says, nobody comes to Texas and gets a fair shake versus one of their fighters. And, or period, versus Mexicans, period. It's hard to get a fair shake. Austin Trout versus Canelo Alvarez. I think that went down somewhere in Texas. He got jerked around. Don't quote me. I think that was in Texas. Famously, Chavez Sr., Pernell Whitaker, another robbery. I mean, you probably can go on and on when you talk about Mexicans fighting close to that Mexican border. It's tough to get a decision. And understand that if Golovkin felt confidently about knocking Canelo Alvarez out in a rematch, I think it wouldn't matter where they fought at. Now he sees that Canelo could take his punch, and Canelo got some heat coming back, that he knows it might go into another decision. He wants to get it in a place that's kind of like where he get a fair shake. But, Team Triple G, my dogs, Texas is worse than Las Vegas when you fighting a Mexican. Anywhere on that, you get closer to the border, it's going to be tougher for you to get a decision. So, if you guys don't feel confidently about knocking Canelo Alvarez out in a rematch, if I was them, I would try to get that fight somewhere on the East Coast. Canelo has been allergic to fighting on the East Coast, if you guys haven't noticed. I don't think he's ever fought at the Atlantic Boardwalk or MSG or Brooklyn Barclays Center or the DC Armory, anywhere on the East Coast, Philly, never. And I understand that the Mexican population is more to that southwestern, area of the United States. But he's never even tried to open up the market on the East Coast. And I know mostly on the East Coast you got more Puerto Ricans, but they have a love for boxing as well. And if you put him in there with a Puerto Rican such as Miguel Cotto, that fight could have happened in Madison Square Garden or whatever. I think people would travel to see Canelo Alvarez there. And they talk about Floyd. Oh, Floyd never fought outside of Vegas. Yeah, Floyd fought at the Atlantic Boardwalk. He fought at Torregotti there. He been on the road. He paid his dues early in his career. He really did. He paid his dues. And I think, Golovkin is making a grave mistake by trying to get that rematch in Texas. And if I was somebody close to him, honestly, they probably don't even know their history. I don't know how you could know their history with Mexicans getting, or people with Mexican descent, American Mexicans, whatever you want to call them, getting a nod in Texas. Anywhere close to that Mexican border, it's gonna be an issue, homie. But for him, if it's somewhere on the west, he want to try to get that fight. It's tough. He gonna be the underdog. Where on the scorecards, he gonna start down anywhere in that southwestern area. He gonna start down 2 or 3 points. He gonna be a negative 3 points to Gennady Golovkin coming in that fight. And that's just being honest. You want to go to California, Los Angeles. That's where Oscar De La Hoya from. North Cali. I mean, that's Andre Ward's area. I don't know. Oakland, San Francisco area. I don't know if they can, pull a lot of, a big draw there. Can they fill the arena up somewhere over there? I don't know. I know Canelo is a star. He trains in San Diego, and that's in Southern California, I believe. So, Golovkin's in a tough pickle. He is in no position to make any demands, because if David Lemieux wins in December and he doesn't do anything, he does something or says something wrong, or does something in negotiations that's he won't jump off his stand or move on his stance for, Canelo's gonna fight David Lemieux. That's what they really want to do. They really want Golovkin to be a year older, or some months or older. He'd be 36 in April. So I heard Eric Gomez somebody they was trying to do the fight in March. I don't know how true that was, but it makes sense. Like Abel Sanchez said, Cinco de Mayo. If it's Cinco de Mayo, it's got to be somewhere close to a Mexican border. So that would rule out anywhere on the East Coast. And if I was Golovkin, just knowing the pressure and the heat that Las Vegas took for that scoring fiasco the first time, I would keep that fight in Las Vegas. Because Texas has no chill when it comes to scoring fights for Mexicans or one of some of their hometown fighters, American, Mexican, wherever the hell they're from, excuse me. If you want to go to Los Angeles, you take it another crapshoot. I think the California State Athletic Commission is a little bit more, they got higher standards than Texas. If I had to rank them, I would go back to Vegas. At least there's some pressure on there. At least you're going to get L.A. Bird again, 100% sure, 99.9% sure of that. You want to take a crapshoot in Oscar De La Hoya's town of Los Angeles. That'll be second, and Texas would be a distant third for me out of the three main venues on the West Coast. I would not do Texas. Would not do it, And, for y'all boxing fans that know y'all history, y'all know what I'm talking about. But it's your boy CJ Goodfellow at the Boxing Clinic. We gone.